Shoots and Scores Hockey Talk, where we talk everything hockey. I am John.
Mike.
I'm Chris.
All right, gentlemen, let's go. Our first topic for discussion this evening is I need to go back and talk about something that I forgot to go back and talk about last week, even though I said at the beginning of the show last week I was going to. And that was about this whole thing with, teams being rusty. Because a few times over the couple of years, I have said I don't really believe in rust for professional hockey players. But unfortunately, after the Montreal Carolina series, I have to admit I may have been just a little teeny bit wrong. And that's because after 12 days off, Carolina lost the first game to the Montreal Canadiens, but then they won 4 in a row, and they looked pretty dominant, really doing it. I guess 12 days off, 2 long extended breaks in a row, have a little bit to add to this, and I just wanted to admit perhaps I was wrong. So, anything else you wanted to add to my revelations that I have discovered potentially? Is there anything you want to add to any of that?
It's a great first step. It's a great first step, to the road of recovery for you. But no, yeah, it was a crazy first period. It was watching goal after goal and breakaway, and it was just like, wow, what are we watching here? But yeah, they kicked it into gear afterwards and took care of business.
Yeah, because games. Well, we had talked about it, I think, off air. That the second period, Carolina looked much better in game one,
Mhm.
and then they sort of just in the third period. I thought they just kind of played that way the rest of the time that they were playing. I know 2 of the games went into overtime, so some people could say, "Well, they weren't really dominant,"
But they
but
were.
they were definitely dominant in games 2 and 3. They had the puck possession. They had the time. So, anyway, but the only thing I say I might have been wrong is because they had 2 extended breaks. What did they play? 4 games in 20 days or something crazy like that, whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, some number like that was thrown
Yeah.
out there. Yeah,
I think it was actually more than 4 games in 20
yeah,
days.
wasn't it? It was 7 days between round 1 and 2 for them.
It was 7 or 8, yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but I will stop saying on air that players don't get rusty until I see some reason for me to voice my opinion again. So that's it's not really a question, it's more of an opinion. But Mike, did you have anything to add to that?
Well, I mean, a team being off for 12 days, you got to expect they were not going to have the same jump that Montreal had after they had just recently played. So,
Right.
I mean, that's understandable. And I mean, as you guys said, Carolina looked much better in the second period. So that first period was more or less the oh god, we're playing again type of thing. So
Right.
probably more of a shock factor than necessarily rust, but yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I thought that Montreal, as the series went on, looked tired. So because they played basically every other day for, whatever, a month or whatever the hell it is. And I thought that they looked more tired. And of course, Carolina being well rested just played better, I think, as the series went on. So, all right. Okay. Well,
But just before we could talk about like other sports, like I
yes.
find with baseball when they have layoffs, I don't think it hurts pitchers. Right? They usually come back and they got a little more juice. But hitters having 4, 5, 6 days off, it's not good for hitting. It's not good for hitting at all. But we see from basketball, the Knicks have a big break there, and they just came in and they
Yeah. I
look
mean,
like
they smoked them last night, right?
they were in rhythm. But I think when you practice in basketball, you can practice 100%. Like you can act like you're playing a game. In hockey, you got to be careful, right, with the injuries and the hitting and stuff. So I think in practice, you can only push yourself so much. In
Yeah.
basketball, you can go full out.
Right.
Baseball is a little more different, right? Batting practice isn't the same as live bullets flying over your head. So baseball
It's
has
a
always
great
been a rust, and I think now for hockey, yeah, the pace of play, you just can't replicate that in practice.
Well, plus you
And
can't go around hitting your own teammates in practice.
exactly, yeah, yeah.
I mean, not like that anyway, not like what we see. So, all right. Well, let's go on to our second topic. Now, we'll get back to business here. Now, Montreal did lose to Carolina in game 5. I say that because last week I had to keep on reminding Chris the series wasn't over when it was 3-1, even though Chris kept on saying, oh, the series is over. And then that same evening, of course, the series was over because Carolina won 6-1. So Carolina managed to win 4 games in a row, like I said a few minutes ago, 2 in overtime. Now, did the series play out as you both expected? Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I expected it to be a pretty quick series. I think my prediction was Carolina in 5, and I was a little worried about it after Montreal won the first game, though, and I'm like, oh, well, now Carolina does have to win 4 in a row for me to be right here. So, and I mean, limiting the amount of shots that Montreal was getting was the key factor in that. I know a couple of the games went to overtime, but with Montreal not winning those games, that pretty much was the icing on the cake for the most part. And then, the lack of shots, like Dobish can only stop so many, and he played
Right.
great. But Anderson was rarely tested, so I don't even know the most shots Montreal had in a game was maybe 15 shots. So it was
I think,
pretty.
well, the last game they
I
had
think
over.
the last game they got like 20
Yeah.
something, but
Yeah.
but
Well, third period, Carolina down geared and basically like, let's just get it over with.
yeah. So I mean, you're not going to win too many games when you're only getting 15 shots, especially when you're playing a superior team as it is. So.
Right. Chris, anything you want to add to any of that?
Yeah. Well, I know before that game one, I said I was a little worried about game one. I was a little nervous what could happen. So I
You
wasn't
did.
shocked when the goals were going in. I'm typing rust, rust, rust for every goal, right? Because I'm just
Yes, yes, yes.
I'm like, yeah, I'm not mad, I'm upset. I was worried, and it happened. But then after that, after game two, I'm like, yeah, this is a team I expected to see, and I felt pretty good. They were going to win this series, no matter how many games it went. They were going to take care of business. So, yeah, exactly how I thought.
We had a comment from a longtime listener of ours.
Long time listener.
Yes, longtime listener, Sean. He just thought that it was funny because I kept on having to remind you that the series wasn't over, even though you kept on going on. So it did sound interesting when I listened to it after we recorded. I thought it sounded
Hmm.
quite funny. So yeah. So what changes, Mike, would you make to the Montreal roster to help them go to the next level? Is there anything that you think they should do? I mean, they've got a lot of goaltenders all of a sudden. I mean,
Well, I mean, clearly Montembeau's on his way out. He
can
won't
they
be
get
back.
anything from Montembeau, Mike? Can they
Yeah,
actually get anything
they
for him?
will. They will. Nothing significant. I'm not thinking they're going to get first round picks or anything like that, but
Could they get a second round pick for him?
from the right team, possibly. But I wouldn't. I wouldn't. But that's me. However, there's some teams that have juggled goalies and they're looking for answers. So if they think he might be the answer, then sorry, the dogs are behind me.
That's all right. We're gonna see who they are here in a few minutes. So
Yeah. So, but Montreal needs a second line center. Now, I don't know if you guys heard, but talk got out today that they made the offer to Toronto for Matthew Nyes, which was Alexander Zarovsky, 2 first round picks, and another prospect, which they didn't say, so it was probably a lower level prospect,
right.
is what they had in place with Toronto. And apparently they weren't able to get the paperwork for it filed before the deadline, so that's why it didn't happen. So talk is they were going to revisit it this summer, but Toronto's kind of cleaned house since, so the new regime may not be interested in that. But if they're looking to do a rebuild,
Yeah, they should probably do it.
So I mean, but they needed a number two center, which they didn't get. Kapanen was not the answer, and we
No.
know our old buddy Andrew Sharp believed that Kapanen was the answer, and he ended up being a healthy scratch for most of the playoffs. Um, so yeah, they need a second line center. I think they need a little bit more physicality on the team. I think they're generally smaller players, so I think they need somebody that can kind of throw the body around a little bit. Not Zikaj or however you pronounce his name, Xhaka, whatever. He's a bottom pairing defenseman. You need somebody in those forward lines.
Bottom AHL defenseman. Yeah.
Well, anyway, he's they need
Xhaka is how they pronounce it.
Somebody up front that can kind of play a little bit both ways and throw the body around a little bit. So I think those should be the two things they're looking for. And until they get a second line center and maybe a good physical player that can actually play, we're probably looking at the same thing next year, if not.
Okay. All right. Now, Chris, normally I ask you guys both the same question, but there was no way I was going to ask you how Montreal should improve their team because there's no way I figured you would answer the question.
You don't want any negative feedback?
Oh, I have no problem with negative feedback. I just didn't think you would answer the question. So now I'm just wondering, Chris, are Montreal fans cursing at you now because of the why I hate Montreal Canadiens rant from a couple of weeks ago? Are people coming up to you or getting a hold of you on Twitter and going, stop bashing my Canadians?
No, nothing like that. But hey, it is what it is, right? It was hurtful years as a kid, and now I will admit though I feel much better after that series. Like a lot of that trauma and turmoil it's kind of starting to finally flow out, right? As we've now beaten Montreal 3 times in the 21st century, the only century that really counts, and it feels good, right? And I wouldn't say we're even yet, even though they won 3 series against the Whalers and we won 3 against them.
That sounds pretty easy to me.
Maybe one more playoff series victory, another historical beatdown that would occur, then maybe all that hate will leave me, and I'll let the Montreal Canadiens go.
Okay, all right. Well, fair enough. I was wondering if maybe anybody had contacted you at all on Twitter and said anything.
Oh yeah, long-time listener Sean was he enjoyed the rant, the backstory. Yeah,
it was good. It was good. All right. Well, let's move on to our third topic then. That's game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals. It was Tuesday evening. Now, tonight's Thursday, so they're playing again now. Vegas Golden Knights, they did win 5-4, but Carolina scored the first 2 goals, and I thought, oh, yeah, here we go. Vegas did take a 3-2 lead, and ultimately they did win the game. So, gentlemen, will these higher-scoring finals games continue, or are things likely to tighten up now after Tuesday night? Chris, what do you think? Is this going to be this, 5-4, 6-4, 4-3 scores? Are we going to get back to 2-1 games or what?
We need to. And as soon as the game was done, I looked over to Zach. I said, we're not going to see 9 goals scored in a game again. I'll be shocked. If we do, Carolina's in serious trouble, right? Carolina's not built to win 5-4. They're built to win 3-2, 2-1. So, no. I don't expect the goal scoring to keep up. It almost felt like, I don't want to make excuses, but I almost felt like, after playing Montreal, you play Vegas, we'll talk about the next question, but it's a totally different team build, makeup, and it was pretty evident in game 1.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Mike, what do you think? Is Chris right, or is he just crazy? Well, we know he's crazy because he was playing golf till 9 o'clock, but that's all right.
Yeah, I think he's crazy. I think we're going to see high-scoring games. I think that Torts knows the answer to Frederick Anderson, and I mean, Carter Hart's going to give up some goals too. So I think we're going to see high scoring games. Uh, games with 7 goals or more. I think that's what we're going to see. 4-3 games, 5-2, whatever. But I think we're going to see some goals in this series. I think Vegas's offense is much more uh,
Dynamic.
more in sync, I guess, with how to get chances in the offensive zone than Montreal. I think Montreal's inexperience kind of ended up frustrating them, and in the end, where they were just desperate to get shots and they still couldn't get shots, and Carolina was blocking everything. I think Vegas is a little bit more in tune with how to counter that type of thing. So,
Okay.
so I think that I think we are going to see the higher scoring games, and I think Carolina's going to get their goals too. But Vegas's offense a little bit more of a threat than Montreal's was to Carolina.
Okay. All right. Now, Mike, who do you have with you there this evening?
Oh, Star, come here. Come here. Come over here. Come here. Oh, here's Star. Hey, Star. Hey, Star. She's one of our foster dogs. We've only had her for a few weeks, so she's new. And then we got Gracie. Gracie, where are you? Here, I'll just move the
Sure, go ahead.
camera here. Where is she? Right there. There's Gracie.
Oh, shy. He's shy.
Yeah, she's shy, right?
She's chewing on a toy. So,
and you guys foster.
We just got her a few weeks ago too. So,
and you guys foster dogs, right? And then wait for them to be adopted, right?
Yeah, that's the plan till we end up adopting them. That's generally what the problem is. So, since we have so many now.
Well, we just wanted to see the puppies and see what they were doing, although they're too big maybe to be puppies.
Oh, they're great dogs too. So if anybody that's listening is looking for a dog, reach out. They're great. Great with other dogs.
Maybe I should be putting your email in the show notes so that if anybody wants to contact you,
go ahead. Or they can send me a message on Facebook or whatnot. But
all right. Okay.
Yeah, no, they're great. They've been doing really well, so no complaints.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go on to our fourth topic. It's pretty short and simple. What are your takeaways from Game 1, and who's going to win the series and why? Now, I know you guys kind of said last week who was going to win, but tell us. I want to know. I want you to go as in depth as you can here, Mike. What do you think about all that? What are your takeaways from Game 1? Who's going to win the series? You think that Vegas is going to win the series. You told us that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when Carolina got off to the quick start, I was a little concerned. And at the end of the day, I think this series is really going to come down to a big part of it's going to come down to the goaltending. And I'm not necessarily saying that I think Carter Hart is a lot better than Frederik Andersen, but I think that Tortorella has got this team on such a roll that it's going to be tough because they're going to pepper them a lot more than Montreal did. I don't remember what the shots were in the first game. I think they had like 25 shots ish around that.
I believe Hart had to save 25 shots.
Yeah, and
then I don't remember how many Andersen had to say. I forget.
Yeah, I think they were both right around the same. Anyways, Vegas's power play much better than Montreal's. Montreal kind of relies on Hudson and Caulfield to be their shooters per se, and whereas Vegas has so many options, and they've got the experience. And this is what I think is going to end up being one of the differences in this series is Vegas's playoff experience. They've got, I think, a little more, Stanley Cup winners, I guess, than what Carolina's current roster has. As far as playoff experience goes, I'm not quite sure if they're off by that much. I think they're both pretty much, each team's been in the playoffs pretty regularly there for the last several years. So, but coaching, I love Brindamore too, but I think I got to cheer for Torts. He's my guy. So, hey, don't shake your head.
He's
Don't shake
Chris's
your
guy
head.
too. So
Rod Brindamore getting no respect from the Flyer fans.
Hey,
Wow.
no, that's not true. That's not true. If it was anybody but Vegas, I would be cheering for Brendan Moore to get the win. However, Torts, he's very big into the dog rescue stuff too, so that's why I cheer for him. But yeah, I think that if these games go into a shootout, which Chris already had mentioned that he wants to see not happen, it's going to be in Vegas's favor, and this is ultimately why I think Vegas is going to win, because I think this is going to be a high scoring series. And I did say Vegas in 6, so I'll stick with that.
all right, Chris, what do you say about any of this?
Yep. The
Oh, you agree with Mike? Yep, you agree with Mike.
no, but I do agree with one thing he mentioned, and one of
Okay.
the points I was going to come up with is the Stanley Cup game experience. I believe Carolina has 2, and one of them is Jordan Stahl, who won a cup 19 years ago. So I don't know if that really counts.
Who was the
And Carrier when he was with Vegas. That's it. Right. And I believe I saw 13, 14, 15, I care, something like that. Vegas players with Stanley Cup playoff experience. And I found in that first game, there was a few guys I'm sure in Carolina were probably feeling it, the nerves. I love Seth Jarvis. That was probably one of the worst games I've ever seen him play. And I don't know, because he was amped up, juiced up. Because you got to think, a lot of these guys, this has been their dream as a kid to play it for the Stanley Cup. And Carolina's got a lot of these guys first times, and Vegas didn't. So that's one point. The second point, Vegas is a very big team. They are the opposite of the Montreal Canadiens. Um, and I noticed that Carolina was not winning the puck battles on the boards as easily as they did against the Canadiens, and they lost a lot. And there was 2 goals Vegas scored because they were winning puck battles in the offensive zone that eventually turned into a great scoring chance. And that was something you rarely saw in the previous 3 series, right? So Vegas' size is very impactful. Um, Not winning those puck battles, and as we see in the previous series, Carolina does its best when it's forcing turnovers in the offensive zone, forcing turnovers at center ice. They don't want to be playing in their own zone, right? They want to be playing in the other team's zone. Last 3
Right.
series, Carolina was able to do that. This game here, first period looked good. They turned over Vegas a lot in the first period, but second and third, the pressure wasn't there, the forecheck wasn't there, and they were spending more time in their own zone, and that's not a recipe for success, because that's not how they played the 3 other series. So like I said, they need to play their way, and that's a 2-1, 3-2 game. If this gets to a high-scoring series, right now Carolina's power play looks terrible, and they're not going to be able to. I know Vegas didn't score on the power play, but they look pretty dangerous. They're going 5 forwards. Carolina scored a lot of shorthanded goals, but they never really got the chance to go against those guys, right? And so I'm a little worried there. And I think the other piece of the reason why the game was so many goals and scored, it's I guess the analogy is like Carolina, if they're going fishing for goldfish, they get their nice little rod, they go fishing for goldfish. All of a sudden they're playing Vegas, it's like they're out there going with tuna, trying to fish some tuna, which is hundreds and hundreds of 500 pounds, whatever the size they are. I don't think they were prepared for that. But now they know, right? They felt them. They know what they have to deal with. Let's hope Brendan Moore can outcoach Torts and get the boys back playing the style. But yeah, if this goal is being scored, this is not what Carolina wants. If it's 2-1, 3-2, we're turning them over, we're spending the time in their zone, then that's the game Carolina wants to play. Um, Vegas made some elite passes and plays. I just don't know if that's sustainable to continue to do. You know, they made it look pretty easy. Let's hope Carolina can make it harder on them here in game 2 and move on with
Were they blocking the same amount of shots in game 1 as they did against Montreal? I mean, can't be.
No, not as many. No, and of course Marner's block at the end there is what everyone's glazing on, right? And Nikishkin
Yes.
got all of it. They put Nikishkin out there for that shot, and he blocked that. And um, yeah, let's hope for. I'm hoping for better results. I still believe Carolina can win this, but again, we can't be seeing 5-4 games like. Remember the start of the series or the start of the playoffs? We were looking at the West, and it was goals galore. In the East, nobody was scoring. Right?
Right.
We need
Right.
that to happen for Carolina to win. We can't keep seeing all these goals scoring. And then,
Right. Okay. All right. So you still think Carolina can win,
yep,
but do
yep.
you think
You know,
they're going to win?
are they going to? Well, I'm still picking
Yeah.
them to win.
Okay. I thought maybe you might change your mind. You said yes to Mike. You agreed with
Oh,
Mike. So
no. I still believe in this group. Like I said, I don't. Some guys didn't play very well. While Vegas, it seems like everybody played well. So I'm hoping we're going to see a little like Walker. Sean Walker got killed, and he was awesome against Montreal and Philly and Ottawa, but he did not have a good game 1. So
right.
yeah, I'm hoping they're going to bounce back, play a little, play harder, and hopefully we'll see a victory. And let's be honest, if they can play their game and win, I don't think going to Vegas is not like a big home ice advantage. A place you don't want to play. I don't see any issues going to Vegas and winning hockey games. So
No,
I don't
it's
think
not.
home ice really matters in this series. It's going to be about who plays the best.
Yeah, no,
That's
I
what it
don't
comes down
believe.
to.
I don't believe home ice matters much, but I also didn't believe rust was a thing either. So I might have to think twice about that too. All right. Okay, now that's everything that I wanted to go over, gentlemen. Is there anything else you guys wanted to mention? Chris, anything else you wanted to go over, or are you good?
Go Canes, go, and no means no. How about those two sayings?
No means no. Mike, is there anything else you wanted to go over tonight?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. I think we're kind of
Mike,
down to the nitty gritty now, and there's not too much other news to really go over.
Oh, I just saw. I was leaving the golf course. Dylan Larkin once
yeah,
out
yeah,
from the Trailers.
yeah.
He's
So
going to
what
be
brought that on?
every team. Every team that's trying to win is going to be reaching out for Dylan Larkin. Every team. Good fit in Carolina if he made it there too. Good fit.
Chris, once again, thinks everybody's a good fit in Carolina, and except the Torts.
Minnesota, Boston, Montreal. Everybody's going to be on Larkin. Right? Everyone's going to be on it.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. All right, gentlemen, we're going to leave it there for tonight. So like, share, and subscribe, and we'll talk to everybody next week. Later.
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 Good puppies, good puppies.